The red dust of Mars swirled around Commander Alan Foster as he stepped out of the small transport ship. His breath made tiny clouds inside his helmet. The coordinates Admiral Susan Bell sent him led to this empty spot in the middle of nowhere. There was nothing here but rocks and dust, or so it seemed. "Confirm location," Alan said into his comm unit. "Location confirmed, Commander," replied the ship's computer. "You are at the exact coordinates." Alan looked around again. Nothing. He checked his wrist device and tapped a code only 5 people in the entire United Earth Alliance knew. The ground beneath him shook. A large section of the red Martian surface slid open, revealing a dark tunnel that led down. "Well, I'll be," Alan whispered to himself. He took a deep breath and walked down the tunnel. Lights came on automatically as he moved forward. After walking for 5 minutes, he reached a security door made of thick metal. It had a scanner. Alan placed his hand on it, and a blue light moved across his gloved palm. "Identity confirmed. Commander Alan Foster," said a voice from the scanner. "Security clearance accepted." The heavy door slid open with a hiss. What Alan saw next made him stop in his tracks. He stood at the edge of an enormous underground hangar. It was so big that he couldn't see the far end of it. The ceiling was at least 500 feet high, but what truly shocked him were the ships. They were warships unlike anything Alan had ever seen before. Huge vessels, some as large as small cities, lined up in perfect rows. Their hulls were dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Their designs were strange. Flowing curves mixed with sharp angles that made no engineering sense to Alan's trained eye. "Impossible," he muttered. There were at least 20 of these massive ships. Some had visible damage. Great tears in their hulls or missing sections. Others looked perfectly intact, as if they were built yesterday. But according to the brief Admiral Bell had given him, these ships had been here when humans first explored Mars 50 years ago. A woman in a military uniform approached him. "Commander Foster, I'm Captain Natalie Green. Welcome to Project Ancient." Alan tore his eyes away from the ships. "How long have these been here?" "The facility was discovered during the first Mars colony mission in 2087. It's been kept secret ever since." "No, I mean how long have the ships been here?" Captain Green's face became serious. "Our best estimate is over 100,000 years, sir." Alan felt his knees weaken. That's not possible. Humans weren't even using stone tools that long ago, let alone building spaceships. "Exactly," said Green. "Come with me." She led him to a small vehicle. They drove through the hangar, passing ship after massive ship. Alan noticed symbols on their hulls, strange writing he couldn't read, but somehow felt familiar. They stopped at one of the smaller vessels. It was still enormous, about the size of an aircraft carrier on Earth. Unlike the others, this one had scaffolding around it, and people working on its surface. "This is the Revenant," said Green. "It's the one in the best condition. Admiral Bell has chosen you to lead the team that will study it and possibly get it working again." "Why me?" asked Alan. Green handed him a tablet. On it was his DNA profile, with certain sequences highlighted. "Because of this," she said. "There's something in your genetic makeup that matches patterns we found in the ship's control systems. We think you might be able to interface with it." Alan looked up at the massive ship looming over them. "What are these ships? Where did they come from?" Green looked him straight in the eye. "That's what you're here to find out, Commander. But I can tell you this much. Everything we thought we knew about human history is wrong." The next morning, Alan stood in a meeting room near the hangar. He looked at the files of the people who would make up his team. Each one was the best in their field. He needed them to unlock the secrets of the ancient ship. The door opened, and 5 people walked in. Alan recognized them from their pictures. "Welcome to Project Ancient," Alan said. "I'm Commander Alan Foster. Let's get right to it. Each of you was chosen for your special skills, and each of you has passed the highest security checks." Alan pointed to a tall woman with short brown hair. Dr. Olivia Wright, you're our expert on ancient objects and alien cultures. Olivia nodded. I've spent my career studying old ruins, but nothing like this. Chief Engineer Peter Martinez, Alan continued, looking at a stocky man with a thick beard. You know ship engines better than anyone in the fleet. I've taken apart every engine the Alliance has, Peter said. But I'm guessing these will be different. Alan turned to a serious-looking woman with her hair pulled back tight. Lieutenant Kate Simmons, weapons specialist. If these ships have guns, you'll figure out how they work. Kate gave a sharp nod. Yes, sir. And Daniel Clark, our communication expert. Alan said to a young man with glasses, your job is to understand any messages or signals these ships might send or receive. Daniel smiled nervously. I studied every known language, human and alien. I'm ready for a new challenge. The fifth person was a woman Alan didn't recognize. She had long gray hair and sharp eyes. I don't believe we've met, Alan said to her. Dr. Laura Harris, she said. Admiral Bell added me to your team this morning. I've been studying these ships in secret for the past 15 years. Alan frowned. Nobody told me about you. That's how secret projects work, Commander, Laura said with a small smile. Need to know only. Alan didn't like surprises, but he needed all the help he could get. Fine. Let's go see our ship. The team followed Alan to the hangar where the Revenant waited. In the daylight, they could see it better. The ship was about 800 feet long, with a sleek design. Its hull was made of a dark metal that seemed to shift color when viewed from different angles. It's beautiful, whispered Olivia. It's impossible, said Peter. The metal alone. I've never seen anything like it. And look at the way it's put together. No visible seams. Kate walked around the ship, studying it. If these are weapons, they're nothing like ours. She pointed to what looked like smooth bumps along the hull. The writing is nothing like any Earth language, Daniel said, looking at symbols near what might be a door. But it feels familiar somehow. Laura stepped forward and touched the hull. We need to get inside. Commander, can you place your hand on that panel? She pointed to a flat area with a handprint shape. Alan hesitated, then pressed his palm against it. The metal was warm. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a line of light appeared in the hull, widening into a doorway. How did you know that would work? Alan asked Laura. Because we've tried it with hundreds of people over the years, she replied. It only responds to certain genetic markers, like yours. The team entered the ship. Lights came on automatically as they walked down a corridor. Everything was designed for human-sized beings. The walls were covered with the same strange symbols. This makes no sense, said Olivia. These ships are over 100,000 years old, but they're built for humans. Maybe they're not as old as we think, suggested Kate. No, they're that old, Laura said firmly. Maybe older. Then how? Asked Peter. Humans weren't building spaceships 100,000 years ago. That's the big question, Laura replied. Either these weren't built by humans, or humans are much older than we thought. Alan felt a strange tingling in his hand, the same one he had used to open the door. He looked down and saw faint lines of light moving under his skin, following his veins. Something's happening, he said. Alan stared at the lines of light running under his skin. They pulsed softly, following the pattern of his heartbeat. What's happening to me? He asked, trying to stay calm. Laura stepped closer. The ship is connecting with you. Don't fight it. You knew this would happen, Alan said. It wasn't a question. We hoped it would, Laura admitted. Every person who could open the door showed similar signs, but the connection never lasted. The team moved deeper into the ship. They found what looked like a control room. It had seats shaped for human bodies and panels that lit up as they approached. Daniel ran his fingers over the strange symbols on the walls. I feel like I almost understand this, like it's on the tip of my tongue. Suddenly, all the lights in the ship flashed red. A loud alarm sounded. What did you touch? Alan asked Daniel. Nothing. I swear. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a 3D map of the solar system. Several red dots were moving toward Earth from the outer planets. Those aren't ours, Kate said, studying the map. Not Alliance ships or any known designs. Peter checked a nearby panel. Whatever they are, they're big and moving fast. Alan's comm unit beeped. It was Admiral Bell. Commander, we have a situation, she said, her voice tense. Our deep space sensors have detected multiple objects entering the solar system. They're not responding to hails and are moving toward Earth at high speed. We're seeing them too, Admiral, Alan replied. The ship is showing us. Get that ship working, Commander. That's an order. The connection cut off. Laura's face had gone pale. They found us. Who? Asked Olivia. The Watchers, the ones who've been keeping humanity contained. Before she could explain, another alarm sounded. This time, a different hologram appeared. It showed what looked like an alien face, vaguely reptilian with large eyes and a wide mouth. The alien spoke in a harsh language no one understood, but the ship translated, text appearing below the hologram. Attention humans of Sol System. This is High Commander Zorak of the Galactic Concord. You have violated quarantine protocol by accessing forbidden technology. Surrender immediately or face extinction. You have 6 Earth hours to comply. The message repeated once, then the hologram vanished. What does that mean? Quarantine? Asked Kate. Laura sighed. It means everything I feared is true. Humanity has been kept isolated, our development controlled. By aliens? Peter looked shocked. By someone, Laura said, for a very long time. Alan's comm unit beeped again. This time, it was Captain Green. Commander, you need to see this. The team hurried back to the hangar. A large screen showed a live feed from Earth orbit. Multiple ships, far larger than anything humans had built, had appeared there. They were firing on Earth's defense platforms. Our weapons barely scratched them, Green said. Earth fleet is engaging but taking heavy losses. Admiral Bell appeared on the screen. Commander Foster, we need that ancient ship operational now. It's our only hope. Admiral, we don't even know how to start it. Alan protested. Figure it out, Bell shouted. Those alien ships just destroyed Beijing. 50 million people gone in seconds. Alan looked at his team. They were scientists and engineers, not miracle workers. But the lines of light under his skin were glowing brighter now. I think the ship wants to help, he said slowly. I can feel it. Let it in, Laura urged. Complete the connection. Alan closed his eyes. The light spread from his hand, up his arm, across his chest. He felt a presence in his mind, ancient and powerful, but somehow familiar. There's someone else in here, he whispered. Some kind of intelligence. A voice spoke in his mind, not with words, but with feelings and images that formed into thoughts. The Guardian awakens, the voice said. The time has come. The light under Alan's skin spread throughout his body. He felt weightless, as if floating in water. Images flashed in his mind. Stars, planets, battles in space, faces of people he had never met. They weren't his memories, yet they felt familiar. What's happening to him? Kate asked, her voice sounding far away to Alan. The ship is sharing its knowledge, Laura explained. Its memories. Peter touched a wall panel that had started glowing. The engines are powering up. Whatever he's doing, it's working. Alan opened his eyes. They glowed with the same light that ran through his veins. When he spoke, his voice had a strange echo to it. I am connected to the Guardian, he said. The ship's eye. It recognizes my genetic pattern. Why you? Asked Olivia. My ancestors. Alan struggled to put the flood of information into words. They were part of this ship's crew, a long time ago. The floor beneath them vibrated. Screens lit up around the room, showing the ship's systems coming online. Weapons, engines, shields, all powering up after 100,000 years. "Can you fly it?" Daniel asked. Alan nodded slowly. "The Guardian is teaching me. It's like remembering something I never knew." On the main screen, they could see the alien fleet approaching Mars. Smaller ships had already landed and were firing on the base above their underground hangar. "We need to move now," Kate said. "They're going to find us." "Everyone strap in," Alan ordered, sitting in what was clearly the captain's chair. The others found seats nearby. Alan placed his hands on two glowing panels. The ship hummed louder. The floor shook. "Docking clamps released," Peter reported, somehow understanding the displays in front of him. "Hangar doors opening," said Daniel, looking at another screen. The massive roof of the underground hangar slid open, revealing the red Martian sky. Dust swirled around them as the Revenant lifted smoothly into the air for the first time in 100,000 years. "Multiple enemy ships approaching," Kate called out. "They've spotted us." Alan felt the Guardian's knowledge flow into him. He understood the weapon systems now. The ship could defend itself. "Shields up," he said calmly. A bubble of energy surrounded the Revenant, visible as a slight shimmer in the air. Just in time. Energy beams from 3 alien ships struck them. The shields flared but held. "Return fire," Alan ordered. The weapon bumps on the hull glowed and released beams of white light. When they hit the alien ships, they didn't explode like normal weapons. Instead, the alien ships simply came apart. Their hulls split into pieces as if cut by invisible knives. "That's impossible," whispered Kate. "Their shields didn't even try to stop it." "Quantum disruption technology," Alan said, the knowledge coming from the Guardian. "It ignores standard shields." More alien ships turned to attack them. The Revenant moved with surprising speed, dodging their fire. When it couldn't dodge, the shields absorbed the hits with ease. "Their weapons barely affect us," Peter said, checking the display. "Shield strength still at 97%. The Guardian says this ship was built to fight enemies much more powerful than these," Alan explained. The Revenant fired again, destroying 4 more alien ships. The rest backed off, regrouping at a safe distance. Laura watched the battle with wide eyes. "They're afraid," she said. "They recognize this ship." A new message came through. Admiral Bell's face appeared on the main screen. "Commander, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. The alien fleet is pulling back from Earth. They're all heading toward Mars. Toward you." She paused. "Can you hold them off?" Alan felt the Guardian's confidence flowing through him. "We can do more than that, Admiral. We can beat them." "How?" Bell asked. "There are hundreds of their ships." Alan smiled. "Because we're not alone." He sent a signal, not through human communication channels, but through the ship itself, a pulse of energy that spread throughout the solar system. Deep under the oceans of Earth, buried in the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, hidden in asteroid belts, other ancient ships received the signal and began to wake up. The alien fleet pulled back, forming a defensive ring around Mars. Their attack had stopped, but they didn't leave. Instead, a message came through. "Commander Foster," a translator voice said. "This is High Commander Zarak of the Galactic Concord. We request a meeting." Alan looked at his team. "They're scared," he said. "That's good. Should we trust them?" Kate asked. "No," Laura said immediately. "The Concord has been lying to us for thousands of years. We need information," Alan decided. "I'll meet them, but not alone." The aliens agreed to a meeting on Phobos, one of Mars' moons. The Revenant landed there, and a small alien ship arrived shortly after. 5 aliens emerged, led by Zarak. They wore armored suits and carried no visible weapons. Alan, Kate, and Laura left the ship to meet them. The Guardian had shown Alan how to create a protective field around them, so they didn't need spacesuits. Zarak was tall, almost 7 feet, with scale-like skin and 4 eyes that blinked in pairs. When he spoke, his translator made his words sound flat and emotionless. "You should not have this technology," he said, looking at the Revenant. "It was supposed to stay dormant." "Why?" Alan asked. "Who are you to decide what humans can and cannot have?" "We are the Galactic Concord," Zorak replied. "Protectors of peace for 12,000 years. The technology you have awakened almost destroyed the galaxy once before." "Our technology," Laura said. "Built by humans, wasn't it?" Zorak's eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of surprise. "You know, we're starting to piece it together," Alan said. "But I want to hear your version." Zorak looked at the ancient ship, then back at Alan. "Very well. The truth, then." He gestured to the stars above them. "Humans did not evolve on Earth." Despite her suspicions, Laura gasped. "Your kind once ruled much of the galaxy," Zorak continued. "You called yourselves the Precursors. You were powerful, advanced, peaceful at first. Your empire lasted for 50,000 years. What happened?" Kate asked. "War happened. A terrible war against an enemy from beyond the galaxy. The Precursors built weapons, like this ship, that bent the laws of physics. The fighting destroyed hundreds of worlds." Alan felt memories from the Guardian rising in his mind. Images of planets burning, stars dying. "The Precursors won," Zorak said, "but at terrible cost. Their civilization was in ruins. Instead of rebuilding, they made a choice." "What choice?" Alan asked, though he already knew the answer from the Guardian's memories. "To start over," Zorak said. "They wiped their own memories, changed their genetics slightly, and settled on Earth, a primitive world far from the galactic center. They hid their most powerful technology throughout your solar system, to be rediscovered only when humanity evolved enough to use it wisely. And you've been watching us," Laura said, "keeping us contained. Protecting you," Zorak corrected, "and protecting the galaxy from you. The Concord was formed by the younger races after the Precursors left. Our mission was to ensure humans developed naturally, without interference, and to prevent them from reawakening their old weapons before they were ready." "Who decides when we're ready?" Kate asked angrily. "That was not clear," Zorak admitted. "The Precursor leaders left instructions, but they were vague." "And now," Alan asked, "what will you do now that we've activated the Revenant?" Zorak's 4 eyes fixed on Alan. "The hardliners in the Concord want to destroy Earth. They fear the return of the Precursors." "And you?" Laura asked. "I am uncertain," Zorak said. "The old records say the Precursors would one day return, that their rebirth was part of a greater plan. Perhaps this is that time." A signal came from the Revenant. Daniel's voice was urgent. "Commander, more ships are awakening. 3 under Earth's oceans, 1 inside Ceres, 2 in Saturn's rings. They're all responding to the Revenant." "The containment has failed," Zorak said grimly. "The Precursor fleet awakens. The Concord must decide. Accept humanity's return, or try to stop it." He looked directly at Alan. "And you must decide what kind of return this will be." Alan, Kate, and Laura returned to the Revenant. Inside, Daniel and Peter were watching screens showing the other ancient ships coming online throughout the solar system. 6 ships are fully active now, Daniel reported. "They're all sending signals to each other." "And to us," Alan added, feeling the data flow through his connection with the Guardian. "They're waiting for instructions." "From you?" Olivia asked. Alan nodded. "The Guardian says I have the command codes in my DNA. Somehow, I'm descended from the original fleet commander." On the main screen, they could see the Concord fleet regrouping. Hundreds of ships were moving into attack formations. "They're preparing to attack," Kate said. Laura stepped forward. "It's time I told you everything." She pulled out a small device and pressed it against her neck. Her face shimmered and changed. She still looked human, but different. Her features were sharper. Her eyes now had a slight glow to them. "You're not human," Peter whispered. "I am," Laura said. "Just not like you. I'm from the Keepers, humans who kept our true history alive. For thousands of years, we've lived among you, guiding humanity's development from the shadows." "You knew about the ships all along," Alan said. Laura nodded. "We've always known our history. The Keepers were started by a group of precursors who disagreed with the forgetting. They kept their memories but promised not to interfere directly. They left clues throughout human history, myths, legends, symbols that pointed to our true nature." "Why reveal yourself now?" asked Olivia. "Because it's time. The awakening of the fleet wasn't supposed to happen by accident. It was planned for when humanity was ready." "Are we ready?" Daniel asked. Before Laura could answer, the ship's alarms sounded again. The Concorde fleet was on the move. "They're attacking Earth directly," Kate said, checking the screens. "Bypassing us completely." Alan understood their plan. They're going to destroy humanity before more ships can awaken. "We have to stop them," Peter said. Alan closed his eyes, connecting deeper with the Guardian. Through it, he sent commands to the other awakened ships. They responded immediately, moving to intercept the Concorde fleet. "Our ships are faster," Alan said. "We'll reach Earth before they do." The Revenant jumped forward with incredible speed. The stars blurred around them as the ancient engines pushed the ship faster than any human vessel had ever traveled. The other precursor ships matched their speed, forming a defensive line in Earth orbit, just as the first Concorde ships arrived. The battle that followed was unlike anything in human history. The ancient ships, though greatly outnumbered, moved with perfect coordination. Their strange weapons sliced through the Concorde's defenses. Where a Concorde ship might need 20 hits to destroy a precursor vessel, a single shot from a precursor weapon could disable or destroy a Concorde ship. From the Revenant, Alan directed the battle. The Guardian's knowledge flowed through him, showing him tactics and strategies developed over thousands of years of warfare. "More of our ships are awakening," Daniel reported excitedly. 2 more from Venus, 3 from Jupiter's moons. "And look," Olivia pointed to another screen. "Earth's regular fleet is joining the battle too." The Earth ships were small and weak compared to both the Concorde and precursor vessels, but they fought bravely, protecting their home. The tide of battle turned quickly. The Concorde fleet, expecting an easy victory, found themselves caught between the precursor ships and Earth's defenders. Soon, they began to retreat. "They're pulling back," Kate said. "Not retreating," Alan corrected, the Guardian's knowledge giving him insight. "Regrouping. The ships we fought are just a small part of the Concorde's forces. They'll be back with a much larger fleet." "How many ships do we have?" asked Peter. 11 active now," Laura said. "Maybe a dozen more still dormant." "Not enough. Unless we find the forge," Alan said quietly. The others looked at him. "What's the forge?" Olivia asked. "Not what," Alan replied. "Where?" "The Guardian's memories show a base hidden in the asteroid belt, a place where the precursors built their fleet. If we can reach it, activate it, we could build more ships," Laura finished. "Enough to defend Earth. The Concorde will try to stop us," Kate warned. Alan nodded grimly. "Then we better move fast." The Revenant and 3 other ancient ships broke away from Earth's orbit, heading toward the asteroid belt. They left the remaining precursor vessels to defend Earth while they searched for the forge. Alan stood on the bridge, his mind linked with the Guardian. Through this connection, he could feel the other ships, sense the humans who had bonded with them. Somehow, the ships had found people with the right genetic markers, just as the Revenant had found him. "How much farther?" Kate asked, checking the weapon systems. "Not far," Alan replied. "The Guardian's coordinates point to a large asteroid named Ceres." "Ceres?" Peter looked surprised. "We have a research base there." "The perfect hiding place," Laura explained. "Hidden in plain sight. Your scientists have been walking on top of the forge for decades without knowing it. The ships approached Ceres carefully. The large asteroid looked normal from a distance, with the small human research station visible on its surface. I don't see anything unusual, Daniel said. It's hidden below the surface, Alan said. Like the hangar on Mars. He sent a signal from the Revenant, a specific pattern of energy pulses. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, a section of Ceres' surface began to change. The rocky ground shifted, revealing a massive doorway large enough for all 4 ships to enter side by side. Incredible, whispered Olivia. The ships descended through the opening. Inside was an enormous hollow space, a shipyard larger than any ever built by modern humans. Hundreds of partially built warships hung in massive construction bays. Automated systems, dormant but intact, lined the walls. This is it, Laura said, her voice filled with awe. The forge, where the precursor fleet was built. The Revenant landed in a central docking area. Through his connection with the Guardian, Alan sent activation codes to the facility. Lights began to come on throughout the vast space. Machines hummed to life after 100,000 years of sleep. Can we really build more ships? Peter asked, staring at the ancient technology. The Guardian says yes, Alan replied. The forge was designed to operate automatically. It has materials, blueprints, everything needed to build a fleet. Daniel's console beeped. Commander, multiple ships approaching fast. Concord vessels. They found us, Kate said grimly. No, Alan corrected, checking the data. Not Concord. Different design. He paused, receiving information from the Guardian. The Guardian recognizes them. They're from a faction called the Wardens. Humans like Laura's keepers, but more aggressive. They want the technology for themselves. Laura nodded. The Wardens broke away from the Keepers centuries ago. They believe humanity should reclaim its place as rulers of the galaxy, not just rejoin it as equals. We can't let them have the forge, Alan decided. The technology here is too powerful. The 4 precursor ships moved into defensive positions as the Warden fleet approached. There were 20 Warden ships, modern human designs enhanced with pieces of recovered precursor technology. They're hailing us, Daniel reported. A man's face appeared on the main screen. He had the same slightly altered features as Laura, sharper, with eyes that glowed faintly. Commander Foster, he said, I am Director John Harris of the Wardens. I see my sister has already joined you. Brother, Laura said coldly. The forge belongs to all humanity, John said. Not just to you and your keeper friends. Together, we can rebuild the precursor empire. Rule the galaxy again. That's not what the precursors wanted, Alan replied. According to the Guardian, they chose to start over because they understood that their power had become dangerous. Weakness, John spat. Our ancestors were gods among the stars. We can be again. We won't let you take the forge, Alan said firmly. Then we'll take it by force. The transmission cut off. The Warden ships opened fire immediately. The battle was fierce. Though the Warden ships weren't true precursor vessels, they had enough recovered technology to pose a real threat. They focused their attack on the Revenant, knowing it controlled the forge. Alan felt the ship shudder under repeated hits. The shields were holding, but weakening. We need to activate the forge's defenses, Laura shouted over the noise of the battle. Alan nodded, connecting deeper with the Guardian. Together, they sent commands to the ancient facility. The walls of the forge opened, revealing massive weapon systems. They powered up, targeting the Warden ships. At the same time, partially completed precursor vessels began to move, their basic systems coming online just enough to fight. The Wardens, caught by surprise, began to retreat. But before they could escape, a new fleet appeared at the entrance to the forge. The Concord had arrived. The Concord fleet was massive, over 1,000 ships ranging from small fighters to huge dreadnoughts. They filled the space outside the forge, Weapons ready. We're trapped, Kate said. Alan felt the Guardian's presence in his mind, calm and confident. Not trapped. Not yet. On the main screen, High Commander Zarek appeared. Commander Foster, you have activated the forge. His 4 eyes blinked slowly. This changes everything. We're defending ourselves, Alan replied. The Wardens attacked us. The Wardens are not our concern, Zarek said. The forge is. With it, humans could build a fleet large enough to challenge the entire Concord. Is that what you fear? Alan asked. That will seek revenge for being kept in the dark all these centuries. Zarek was silent for a moment. The Concord Council is divided. Some believe humanity must be destroyed before you reclaim your full power. Others believe the Precursor's plan should be allowed to unfold. And you, Zarek, what do you believe? I believe in balance, the alien replied. The Precursors were once the greatest force for peace in the galaxy, before the war changed them. Perhaps humanity can be that force again. John Harris's ship moved forward, weapons still firing. Don't listen to him, Foster. The aliens have kept us down for thousands of years. It's time for humanity to rule again. Laura shook her head. My brother never understood the truth. The Precursors didn't choose to forget because they were weak. They chose it because they were wise. Alan felt a strange sensation. The Guardian was showing him something, accessing deeper memories that had been locked away. He saw the final days of the Precursor civilization, the terrible choices they faced after winning a war that had nearly destroyed the galaxy. I understand now, Alan said quietly. The Precursors didn't just want to start over. They wanted to evolve, to find a better way. Through his connection with the Guardian, Alan reached out to all the awakened Precursor ships. He shared what he had learned, what he had seen. One by one, the humans connected to those ships understood. We have a choice to make, Alan announced to both fleets. The Wardens want to rebuild an empire. The Concord wants to keep us contained, but there's a third path. Alan sent commands to the forge. The facility hummed with power, but not to build weapons. Instead, a signal went out, a peaceful greeting in an ancient language that both humans and Concord aliens somehow understood. The Precursors weren't just warriors, Alan explained. They were explorers, builders, peacekeepers. They seeded life throughout the galaxy. Many species, including some in the Concord, exist because of them. The Warden ships stopped firing, confused. The Concord fleet held position, waiting. We don't need to fight, Alan continued. Humanity doesn't need to conquer or be contained. We can rejoin the galactic community as equals, as bridges between the past and the future, on dozens of screens throughout the solar system, on Earth, on Mars, on ships of all kinds. Alan's message played. He shared the truth of human history, the ancient legacy that had been hidden for so long. The forge isn't just a shipyard, he said. It's a repository of knowledge. Technology that can help all species, not just humans. Laura stepped forward. The Keepers have waited for this moment for thousands of years. Not for war. For reunion. Even John Harris and his Wardens were silent, feeling the weight of the ancient knowledge that was being shared. Zarek spoke after a long pause. The Concord was formed to maintain peace, if humanity truly seeks the same goal. We do, Alan said firmly. The Precursors chose to forget so they could remember differently, so they could find a better way forward. Now we have that chance. One by one, the Concord ships powered down their weapons. The Warden vessels followed suit. A new era had begun. Humanity had reclaimed its heritage, not as conquerors but as custodians of an ancient legacy. The ancient warships would remain, not as weapons of destruction, but as reminders of a history nearly forgotten and guardians of a future just beginning. As Alan stood on the bridge of the Revenant, he felt the Guardian's approval. After 100,000 years, the plan had worked. Humanity had found its way home to the stars.